50-50 split at all. At a minimum, $300,000 per, $30,000 per megawatt. I don't think that's enough. And now we're talking about a 50-50 cash and a 50% bond. I'm not comfortable with it at all. I'm not comfortable, again, to reiterate, be redundant here, I'm not comfortable with $30,000 per megawatt to decommission this. We have no idea what it's going to cost, because in the language of the understanding that if it's decommissioned, the money goes back to the principals or whomever's in control of that company at that time, or that property. It goes back to them. We have it decommissioned, the land's brought back up to land development subdivision regulations, the town of North Smithfield, 4 to 6 inches of topsoil, reseed, plant, do all that kind of stuff. No idea what that is going to cost in 20 to 25 to 30 years from now. No idea. So I'm very leery about the $30,000 decommissioning. I've heard people say that in Woonsocket, in an industrial complex, sorry if I misread the article, it's $50-something thousand for less than 1 megawatt to decommission. It's not like they had to go up on hills, over terrain, around seasonal flows of wetlands and all that type of stuff. It's almost $50,000 to decommission. It's going to round up 1 megawatt. Done.
I'm just going to weigh in, and if the issue is concern about the 600, concerned about how much of a bond to have, I don't have any feeling on that, or opinion on that, but if it's about what is this $600,000 surety bond going to look like, and do you want the most flexibility? If it doesn't, you can say, if you want to make it clear that, a bond is into reasonable satisfaction of the town, it could be additional cash. And if you can't get a satisfactory bond, then you ask for additional cash.
Before we make a decision on a bond, we have to come up with a decommissioning cost per megawatt.
And that's what I said. If that's the discussion, I can't help. But if you're concerned about, if you're still fixated on $600,000 being in a surety bond form, an insurance bond form, and you want to have the flexibility to make it clearer in the language, and more additional cash as you see fit. So when they come back with that surety bond from the insurance company, you send it out, get an opinion. If you're satisfied, fine. If you're not satisfied, you could ask for more cash, make it less a bond. If that's a sticking point. But if it's about how much in total, again, that's a number that only you can.
I would like to see the language that reflects that it's reasonably acceptable to the town based on peer review by third party at the developer's expense.
Okay.
Nothing else.
We did discuss that.
Right, but you want it in the language.
You want it in the language.
But we picked the firm, okay? What they
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
Based upon,
Yes.
Yes.
so that's one issue.
So I guess the other issue is the cost, right? The per megawatt cost, right? I mean, and that's what we've been arguing this whole time. And again, last time I brought up that our ordinance said about a third-party peer review that they would pay for. And if they're willing to do it for a bond, I don't know why we're not doing it for the decommissioning. These decommissioning costs are all over the place, and none of us are experts in decommissioning. And to just take whatever is being proposed out there as truth, I think we should be more prudent. I think we should seek outside info on what this is going to cost to decommission. This is a huge project. I don't like doing this not knowing what an expert would say would be decommissioned.
Oh, you realize we've already taken this step with the previous firm, and the number was 30,000. That was the number that we were seeking.
We did that?
We signed an agreement to that.
We didn't do that.
We didn't sign.
We agreed to a contract for 30,000 megawatts.
I've never agreed to a contract. But the council, we made them the last time.
Turning point, we agreed to a contract at 30,000 megawatts. Correct, Mr. Travis? payable to the town when they got there, just like this one. That was the target number that we were talking about. Now we want to change the target number.
We've learned. We have learned that we move forward.
Any other changes looking to be made to the development agreement?
Can we just recap the changes that are being proposed now, just so we all know where we're at?
Maybe should, I don't think any motion will be on any changes. The only motion, the only consideration right now, I think the president has indicated he wanted to add language that the,
Third-party peer review of the developer's expense.
now that can determine the soundness of the bond or the value of the bond.
Both.
So that's.
Want to evaluate it to tell us, okay, this is acceptable.
Yeah, Mr. President, for you, I don't understand the whole bond process itself, what's being presented there. Soundness of the bond?
Well, I should, that was the word I used.
The credit
No,
rating.
but-
The credit rating of the bond.
Yeah, so whoever's gonna rank, who's gonna rank this
Right,
bond?
I mean, this thing is eventually gonna have a QSIP number, and you'll be able to trace it through and find out whatever this bond is doing at a given point in time. And so I think, yeah, this is a brand new thing. Their legal records, Mr. Busini admitted that this is fairly new, and even he's not an expert. And I think, I agree that I think if this is the direction, whatever the direction we want to go, I think we have to know more before we can say what's reasonable.
They'll make a motion that we approve that change. The third party review of the bond at the developer's court.
I'll second that motion, Mr. President.
Motion by myself, second by Mr. Zelinski. Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
For that change, right, correct?
Yes. Mrs. O'Hara? Yes. Mr. Ruggieri?
So she's on the,
Just that change.
does that change? No.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
So insert language to that effect in the appropriate section, which is 3.2.
Are there any other changes that anyone would like to see made to the development agreement?
So that change was to have a third party assess the value and how much should be put towards it. It didn't get at if the bond is not acceptable, it could be and or cash, increasing cash. Do we need to make a second motion for that?
You would need to make a motion.
If I could just ask for clarification, the language in the development agreement now is the form of bond and the surety providing the bond to the town's reasonable satisfaction. If I understand that very recently, a different solar developer was provided $30,000 a megawatt as the decommissioning amount. That's the town's amount. The town has created precedent for that. If the town wants a third-party review of the form of bond and the quality of the surety, we don't mind paying for the review, but that's not the bond amount. Apparently, that's already been established by the town.
No. I think you were talking about the megawatt cost of 30 or whatever more. We are asking for if it's 50-50 or should it be 60-40? That's how I took it as, unless I'm
That
wrong.
was a separate discussion. The president was saying that the form and substance of the bond will be subject to peer review at your expense.
And you agree with that?
And if I may, there's no precedent set here. Every project is different. So there's no precedent set here. I want to make that really clear.
The precedent is set, respectfully, Mr. Vice President. If the town council is going to be distinguishing between projects, it needs to have very clear reason why the two projects are different when they've established a
I think
decommissioning
we
amount
can
that
establish
reason.
that, Mr. Proceeding. We can certainly make it clear, depending on the megawatts, the location, the terrain, and everything else that's involved in solar properties. I think I understand this a little bit. I'm not an expert on bonds, neither are you, according to your own testimony. My concern is the amount of decommissioning that this town is going to expect in order for this to move forward. Not ask what we're going to expect the developer to provide to this town. Mr. Mussini, 20 years from now, hopefully you're retired, you're playing golf somewhere. Hopefully 20 years from now, I'm still alive, but I'm not going to remember all this stuff. So in essence, we're here trying to establish a reasonable amount of decommission. We have no idea. And again, for your own words, you're not an expert in bonds. You're an attorney, I'm not. You're far brighter than I am. I don't understand either. So to err on the side of caution, I just think $30,000, it's not a precedent, Mr. Rossini. That's what was established prior. And if you read newspapers, some communities are charging $50,000 and more per megawatt. I don't know, I'm not familiar with their land. I'm familiar with Iron Mine Road though. So I'm not comfortable with the amount.
Are there any other changes looking to be made to the development agreement?
Mr. President, again, what I've heard, there are two issues floating around. One is whether or not there's any kind of further discussion about the distinction between the amount that would be cash versus surety of that remaining $600,000. Councilman Garcia mentioned that.
I thought that's why they were asking for the peer review.
No, peer review is to evaluate the form and substance of the bond.
That's been
Substance
approved.
Okay, so now we're talking about the split.
Now, I said I think that was still an issue that was.
That's what you want to talk about, I'm looking, does anyone?
Yeah, I
have
mean,
any
yeah,
other
so
issues?
good point. I think it should be high cash. I've been clear about this. I think 50-50 is not acceptable. I said last meeting, I think it should be 60-40 or 70-30. I think to put half of it in bond is just, I don't agree with, it doesn't feel right. I think it has to be more, just to have more cash on hand. It's like, why are we taking that chance and that risk, not knowing? And yes, we're gonna wait for a peer review to tell us about the bond and how good it is and stuff like that. But I think it's always good to have cash. And I think it needs to be higher. I think it should be a 70-30 split. I think we should minimize our risk. And I think it's better to have that cash up front. Or maybe an inconvenience to the developer, but personally, I don't care. No offense. I don't care about that. I focus on what's best for the town. Just like he's advocating, and his attorney's advocating, and his other attorney's advocating, what is best for his project and his company. I know we've been told we're not a business, but we need to think like one. And we need to advocate what is best for our taxpayers and to make sure that we are doing everything with a fiduciary responsibility to protect the town, first and foremost. And that is why I think it needs to be higher. Minimize the risk on the bonds, keep the cash in interest-bearing accounts, have it hedge against inflation if we have to. But I think it needs to be higher. So I would propose making it 730 or 70-30. And if I'll make a motion if I have to, unless there's no discussion.
Here, Counselor. Is that a motion?
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to adjust the amount, the split between, and Solicitor, help me with this, so 70% cash, 30% bond, and then whatever, the dollar amount's gonna adjust.
Right now, it's
50-50.
split, and you're recommending 70-30. A motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second.
I think
Second.
that's what we're talking about.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote?
Mrs. Barnamoli? Yes. Mrs. O'Hara?
No.
Mr. Rozier?
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Vannen?
No. Motion carries.
Okay. That was fun.
Are there any other changes looking to be made to the development agreement? Hearing none, is there a motion to ratify the development agreement with those two changes made? Motion by Mrs.
Second,
O'Hara.
as
Second
amended,
by
Mr. President.
Second by Mrs. Zelinski. Any other discussion?
So when we amend this, we're just updating it, and then are we voting on it again next meeting, or what's
We're
next?
amending it right now, voting on it. There's a
So this is
motion
it.
and a
This is
second.
final.
Any and all other action.
There's a motion and a second.
So it's binding essentially, right, at this point, to use the legal term, this is binding at this point. We're not talking about it next meeting or something
There's
like
been two
that.
amendments made to this document, one by the president, one by you. Those were, right, that's what's been done, but before you now is not really a ratification, it's a motion to approve the agreements
The two
as
amendments.
amended.
Right.
Did you
That's
vote
what-
on the tax stabilization yet?
Yes, we did.
So a motion to approve the
The
development
development agreement.
as amended.
With those two amendments. And that's what the-
70/30 and peer review,
And
right?
that's what the motion was. So there's a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Mrs. Barnwell?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Rozier?
No.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Vadeney?
Yes. Next item, discussion by council